I still remember the day the ground beneath me started to crumble, a day that began like any other, but ended with a betrayal that would reshape everything I thought I knew. I had built my business with my own hands, pouring every ounce of passion, sleepless nights and meticulous planning into every detail. Every morning I woke with a sense of purpose, determined to create something lasting. I believed in the partnership I had with my husband, in our shared dreams, and in the promise of a future we had both envisioned. Yet as I discovered, dreams can be as fragile as glass when pressure is applied from the wrong direction. It started with subtle changes, a missed email here, an unexplained meeting there. I brushed it off as the ordinary chaos of life, until one evening, after a particularly long day at the office, I found an email tucked away in my inbox. The subject line read, "Urgent Business Transition Meeting," and the sender was none other than someone I never expected. Isabella. I had met Isabella a few times in passing, her presence always mysterious and unsettlingly confident. As I read through the email, my stomach churned with disbelief. Isabella was outlining plans to optimize our company's operations, a euphemism that I soon discovered meant she was orchestrating a hostile takeover of what was rightfully mine. My hands trembled as I scrolled through the details. Board meeting dates, strategy sessions, and most damning of all, notes from my husband praising Isabella's vision for the future. I couldn't believe what I was reading. I felt as if I were living in one of those twisted dramas I once dismissed as mere fiction. The betrayal was not just personal, it was professional. My business, my legacy, was being dismantled piece by piece, while I remained oblivious to the machinations unfolding behind my back. That night I sat in my dimly lit office, the hum of the city outside a cruel contrast to the storm raging within me. Every memory we had built together flashed before my eyes, the late nights strategizing, the shared laughter over small victories, and the promises made over a glass of wine. Now, all of that felt like a cruel joke. I dialed my closest friend, Mariah, whose steady voice always had a way of anchoring my spiraling thoughts. "Tell me this isn't happening," I whispered into the phone, my voice raw with emotion. He's siding with her. My husband, my partner, how could he do this?" Mariah's silence on the other end was as heavy as the realization settling in my heart. When she finally spoke, it was with quiet, measured sorrow. "Sometimes, the person we trust most becomes the one who hurts us the deepest," she said. "You deserve to know the truth. You deserve to fight for what is yours." And fight I vowed that night. The betrayal had ignited a spark, a determination to reclaim not only my business but my self-worth. I spent hours poring over contracts, revisiting every meeting note, and planning my next move. Every detail mattered now. The business wasn't just a source of income. It was a symbol of everything I had strived for, the evidence of a lifetime of hard work. I knew that the road ahead would be treacherous, filled with corporate maneuvering and personal confrontations. Yet as I stared at the familiar blueprints of my company spread out on my desk, I resolved that I would not be sidelined by deceit. I would discover every secret Isabella and my husband had hidden behind their polished smiles. Even as the shadows lengthened in my once safe world, I felt an inner strength rising, one forged in the crucible of betrayal and tempered by the burning need for vindication. That night, I made a silent promise to myself. I would not be the victim in my own story. I would rewrite the narrative, turning every betrayal into a stepping stone towards reclaiming everything that was rightfully mine. The journey had just begun. Walked into my office as if in a daze, yet behind my eyes burned a relentless fire. The once familiar corridors of my business now echoed with whispers of deceit. I couldn't trust the smiles of colleagues or the casual greetings that masked a deeper conspiracy. The transformation was subtle but undeniable. I was no longer just a business owner. I had become a strategist, a warrior ready to reclaim my domain. I spent hours in the quiet solitude of my study, surrounded by financial reports and strategic plans. I reread every contract, every email, searching for clues that could provide leverage against the duo that had upended my life. I recalled Mariah's words, and with each page turned, a plan began to form. It wasn't enough to simply retaliate. I needed to outthink and outmaneuver them in the arena where I had once been the expert. One chilly morning, over a cup of strong coffee, I met with my trusted advisor, Elena, whose calm precision in business had always been my secret weapon. "I have uncovered more than I should have," I confided, sliding a folder across the table. "It seems Isabella's takeover wasn't an overnight scheme. There have been months of quiet maneuvering, and my husband was a willing accomplice." Elena's eyes narrowed as she scanned the documents, her mind working swiftly. "This is more than a personal slight. It's a calculated attack on your legacy," she murmured. "But it also means you have every opportunity to fight back. You know the ins and outs of this business better than anyone." The conversation sparked a shift in my mindset. I began to strategize not just for retribution, but for a complete reversal of fortunes. I recalled the passion I once had when launching my company, the sleepless nights spent drafting business plans, the thrill of securing that first big client, and realized that this betrayal had, in a strange way, reawakened that fierce entrepreneurial spirit. I would use the very tactics they employed against me and turn them to my advantage. My days became a flurry of meetings with accountants, legal advisors, and even a few old friends from industry seminars. I reconnected with mentors who had once guided my path, gathering every bit of advice and support they could offer. In one particularly intense discussion with an old professor from business school, I found clarity. "You have the vision and the knowledge," he said firmly, "but now you must reclaim your power by demonstrating that you're indispensable to this industry. Take control of every narrative, every decision. Show them that your expertise cannot be supplanted by cunning or deceit." Armed with this resolve, I began laying the groundwork for my counteroffensive. I started by strengthening my company's core operations, ensuring that every department was more agile and responsive than ever before. I reached out to key clients, reassuring them of our commitment to excellence. At the same time, I quietly investigated Isabella's own business ventures, an endeavor that revealed a trail of opportunistic ventures and quick fixes that, while dazzling at first glance, lacked the solid foundation that my company had built over years. Late one evening, while poring over a series of confidential emails, I realized that the final blow was not a direct confrontation, but a strategic acquisition. Isabella's business, though flashy, was vulnerable, a business built on promises rather than substance. The idea took root slowly, like the first delicate green shoots of spring after a long winter. I would turn her strengths into her weakness. The plan was risky, and every step was fraught with potential pitfalls, but the thought of reclaiming my legacy spurred me forward. With each passing day, I honed my plan, mapping out every detail and contingency. My nights were spent drafting acquisition proposals and negotiating silently with potential investors. I knew that in the world of high-stakes business, timing was everything. Every call, every meeting, every calculated risk was a step toward the reversal I so desperately needed. I wasn't just preparing for a financial battle. I was preparing to reclaim my dignity, my self-respect, and everything I had lost. The taste of betrayal was bitter, but it had sharpened my resolve. I was no longer the quiet victim of corporate treachery. I was a force to be reckoned with, and the coming confrontation would be the turning point in my life, a moment where I would seize control of my destiny and rewrite the narrative of betrayal into one of triumphant revenge. The day had come when I decided to execute my plan, a day when every calculated risk and every sleepless night would culminate in the ultimate act of reclamation. The boardroom, once a symbol of shared visions and mutual trust, now became the stage for my transformation. I had arranged a clandestine meeting with key stakeholders who still believed in the foundation of my original business, and as I walked into the room, I felt the weight of every betrayal and every moment of doubt coalesce into a single, resolute purpose. "Ladies and gentlemen," I began, my voice steady and resolute, "we are at a crossroads. The integrity of our business is being challenged not just by market forces, but by internal betrayal. I could see the flicker of disbelief and apprehension in their eyes as I detailed the orchestrated takeover. I laid out the evidence, emails, confidential memos, and the calculated plans that had been hatched behind closed doors. Every word was measured, every pause deliberate. I was not just recounting events. I was reclaiming the narrative. The room was silent as the implications sunk in. My husband, who had long been the trusted face of our partnership, sat at the end of the table with a mix of regret and resignation. Isabella's calculated ambition was laid bare for all to see, but I wasn't there to dwell on the past. I was there to forge a new future. I have uncovered vulnerabilities in the very business model that Isabella has built her empire on, I declared. While her approach was flashy and opportunistic, it lacked the sustainable foundation that I have cultivated over the years, and now I intend to take advantage of that weakness. Over the following weeks, I moved swiftly and decisively. I negotiated with financiers, leveraged every legal loophole, and orchestrated the acquisition of Isabella's business. Every step of the way was a reminder of the betrayal that had set this chain of events in motion. I could still feel the sting of each hurtful word, every dismissive gesture, but I channeled that pain into determination. The acquisition was not just a business maneuver. It was personal justice served cold. The day the deal was finalized, I stood outside the imposing glass building that housed Isabella's company. The reflection staring back at me was not that of a defeated wife, but of a woman transformed by adversity. I recalled the countless nights spent strategizing in solitude, the whispered encouragements from trusted friends, and the quiet confidence that had grown with every challenge. With a deep breath, I stepped through the revolving door, determined to oversee the integration of the two businesses, a merger that would see me reclaim not only my legacy, but also my self-respect. Confrontation was inevitable. In a brief, tense meeting with my husband, I laid it all out. "You took a risk by betraying our partnership," I said quietly, the memories of betrayal still vivid. "But in doing so, you also unlocked the potential that I never knew I had. I have turned your mistake into my opportunity." His silence was a mix of regret and grudging admiration. There were no grand declarations, no dramatic apologies, only the unspoken acknowledgement that our lives had irreversibly changed. As I settled into my new role, managing the combined enterprise with a steady hand, I found solace in the realization that true power comes from reclaiming what was lost. Every decision I made, every risk I took was a testament to the strength that had been forged in the fires of betrayal. I had transformed heartbreak into a driving force for innovation and progress. The business flourished under my renewed leadership, proving that passion and perseverance could triumph over deceit and ambition. Looking back now, I see the journey as a series of painful lessons that ultimately led to my rebirth. I had been pushed to the brink by betrayal, forced to confront the dark underbelly of ambition and greed. But in reclaiming my business, by buying Isabella's empire, I had reclaimed more than just financial control. I had reclaimed my voice, my power, and the unyielding belief in my own worth. The reversal was complete, and with it came a quiet vindication. The assurance that no matter how deeply one is betrayed, the strength to rise again is always within reach.